Long ago, in a faraway land, there lived a prince known for his arrogant and unmerciful behavior. He was the son of the wealthiest and most powerful king in the 4 kingdoms of Ude land. His name was Prince Ido. He was indeed a very handsome man. All the maidens in his kingdom loved him and wished to be married to him. But this was far from Prince Ido's thoughts. He was rude and thought of himself as a god, and that no woman deserved to have him as her husband. He thought he was better than everyone else, and he treated his subjects with disdain. Prince Ido had 2 sisters, Lafia and Ejiro, who were both beautiful and treated like the princesses they were. Prince Ido was the only son of his parents, which made him the heir to the Ude throne. He was so loved by his parents that they gave him everything he wanted and spoiled him with many treasures and servants. His wealth and riches made him arrogant, to the extent that all his servants disliked him and they trembled in his presence. Prince Ido never liked to be touched by strangers, nor did he like speaking with people. He was very rude. Each time he wanted to move around town, he entered his horse-drawn chariot and traveled with a large convoy of maidens and guards surrounding him. He was indeed a prince of great words. One day, while riding his chariot through the marketplace, Prince Ido saw an old beggar in rags kneeling before him. He stopped and asked her why she was so dirty and begging for money.
"Help me, please. I have no money, no home, and no one to help me. I beg you to have mercy on me."
"Why should I give you anything? You are just a lazy old woman who has refused to work. Go home. I have no money to give to you."
The beggar looked up at Prince Ido with sad eyes and said to him,
"I am not lazy. I am old and sick, and I have no one to care for me."
Ido laughed and replied to her,
"You're just a loser. You deserve to be in the gutters."
Ido turned and walked away, leaving the beggar to fend for herself. But as he walked, he felt a strange tingling sensation all over his body. He stopped and looked down at his hands. They were covered in thick black fur. Ido panicked. He ran back to the beggar, fell on his knees, and he said to her,
"What have you done to me? Who are you? Are you a ghost?"
The beggar smiled and replied to him,
"I have casted a spell on you. From now on, you will walk around as a human during the day, but at night you will transform into a beast, and every full moon you will wander the forest like a beast, and you will eat grass and plants."
Ido was terrified. He begged the beggar to lift the curse, but the beggar refused.
"You must learn to be humble and compassionate, and you must find someone who loves you for who you are, even if you are a beast, before the curse can be broken, and that will not be easy,"
she said. Ido returned to the palace and tried to keep his transformation a secret. He ran into his room and locked himself up. He stayed in his room for days without coming out or eating. His sister Ejiro tried to talk to him, but he never allowed anyone to come into his room. After 2 weeks, towards the end of the month, it was going to be a full moon, and it was time for him to wander the bush and eat grass. As the night approached, he left the palace in time as a human and went into the bush, waiting to transform into a beast. But unknown to him, one of his sisters, Ejiro, followed him secretly into the bush. Ejiro has been bothered about her brother's strange behavior and decided to follow him to find out the secret behind his strange attitude. When Prince Ido arrived inside the forest, he sat under a tree, his heart pounding in his chest as he waited for darkness to fall. He knew that once darkness fell, he would transform into a hideous beast with sharp teeth and claws. At exactly midnight, he transformed and began to eat grass. Ejiro was so terrified by what she saw that she fainted in the bush. In the morning, when Ejiro regained her consciousness, she ran back to the palace and whispered to her sister,
Ido is half beast, half human creature, who transforms at night.
But her sister didn't believe her. Instead, she burst out laughing, and Ejiro left Lafia, hurt and humiliated. Ejiro, who was very sure of what she had seen, told her sister that she should come around midnight to see Ido transform into a beast. They agreed. At around midnight, Ejiro and Lafia crept closer to Ido's room, their hearts pounding in their chests. They peeped through a hole in the door and saw Ido standing in the middle of the room. His eyes were glowing red. His body began to convulse and his muscles swelled. Within seconds, he had transformed into a huge beast with sharp teeth and claws. Ejiro and Lafia screamed and ran back to their rooms as fast as their legs could carry them, their terror echoing in their ears. In the morning, Ejiro and Lafia told their mother and father the news, but they didn't believe them because they loved their son so much. Ejiro decided to set up a plan. She told her parents to hang around the palace at night behind her room. When Ido was about to leave, they should capture him and lock him in a cage. They could see if he would transform at midnight. That night, it was the last day of the month and a full moon. It was almost time for Prince Ido to leave the palace to eat grass. But as he was about to leave, his parents and siblings ambushed him and locked him in a sturdy cage. He struggled to leave, but it was no use. They gathered around the cage, their faces twisted in fear and anticipation. Once it was midnight, Ido's body began to convulse and his muscles swelled, and within seconds, he had transformed into a huge beast with sharp teeth and claws. The king and queen were horrified. The mother could not stop weeping because her son had turned into a beast. They decided to seek help. They invited different physicians, magicians, and even the chief priest to save their son from the evil curse. But no one was able to save the prince or lift the curse from him. It was said that the only way the curse would be lifted was to seek help from the person who had placed the curse. Prince Ido was helpless and devastated. All his servants ran away from him because they were scared he would transform and devour them. Words traveled far and wide across town, and Prince Ido was known as a beast in the entire kingdom. He stopped moving out or interacting with people. As time went by, he became worse and got more violent each time he transformed. He would scatter the palace or even try to kill someone. As a result of this ugly situation, Prince Ido was captured, taken away and locked in a far tower, far away from the palace, into the forest where he would not be able to kill or eat anyone when he transformed. He was left alone inside the tower with no one to talk to. He was banished from Ode land. After a few weeks in the tower, the full moon came and it was time for the prince to eat grass. That night, He tried to come down from the tower, but it was too high. He looked down and saw how high it was, so he decided to stay back. Later that evening, he finally transformed into a beast. He couldn't resist the urge to eat grass any longer, so he jumped from the tower to the ground. He sustained an injury when he jumped. The pain was so unbearable that he passed out. The next morning, a beautiful girl named Uma came to the forest to hunt for food. Uma was an orphan. Her parents died when she was still a child. Uma lived with her auntie who maltreated her so much, and as a result of her auntie's maltreatment, she ran out of her auntie's house and went to live inside the forest alone. That morning, Uma came out carrying her basket to pick some wild fruits to eat as breakfast. She was hunting for her wild fruits when she came close to the high tower. She saw Prince Ido lying down on the ground unconscious. She took pity on him, carried him as much as her little strength could let her, and brought him into her small hut inside the forest and began to treat his injury. When Prince Ido regained consciousness, he thanked Uma for saving his life. He asked her for food, and she gave him some. After eating, he told her that he had to leave. He didn't want to turn into a beast before Uma's eyes. But Uma refused to let him go. She told him that it was getting dark and that the forest was dangerous. There were many wild animals in the forest, and that he would be safer staying with her for the night. Prince Ido hesitated. He didn't want anyone to see him transform into a beast. But he was so tired and he wanted to stay with Uma. After so much persuasion from Uma, he finally agreed and stayed back. That night, around midnight, he turned into a beast, as usual. He thought Uma would be scared of him. He tried to run out of the hut, but Uma told him that she wasn't afraid of him. She treated him kindly with respect. The next morning, Prince Ido woke up and was surprised to find that he had transformed back into a human. He thanked Uma for her hospitality. He was so excited and happy that he had someone who accepted him the way he was without getting scared of him. That morning, they needed firewood to cook, so Prince Ido went to gather some from the forest. As he was picking firewood, he met an old woman who was struggling to lift a bunch of firewood. He offered to help her and carried the firewood to her hut. When he got to her hut, the woman was so pleased with him, but at the same time, she felt pity for him. She said to him, "Because of your humility, I will tell you how to break the curse. You must learn to be humble and compassionate, and from what I see, you are already beginning to be humble. There is only one task left for you to finally turn Fiulu into a human. You must find someone who loves you for who you are. Even if you are a beast, she must love you genuinely. On the day of your marriage ceremony, your curse will be lifted." Prince Ido was happy and a bit confused at the same time. He kept wondering where he was going to find a lover who could even want to marry a monster like him. He was so deep in thought that he didn't notice the time passing by. After some time, he decided not to think much about it. He carried his firewood and left. Days and weeks passed. Prince Ido and Uma became fond of each other. They became closer and closer each day. Ido knew he had to tell Uma about the curse. He didn't want to deceive her. He wanted to let her know what led to him turning into a beast at night. But he was afraid that she would reject him if she knew the truth. Finally, Ido summoned courage and told Mma about the curse and what led to the curse. Mma listened patiently, and when Ido finished, she smiled.
I don't care that you turn into a beast at night. I love you for who you are.
Prince Ido was overjoyed. He knew that he had finally found the person who could break the spell. Prince Ido and Mma decided to get married. They had a small wedding in the forest with only the old woman as a witness. On their wedding night, Prince Ido transformed into a beast, but Mma was not afraid. She hugged him tightly and told him that she loved him. Ido's heart melted. He realized that Mma's love was true, and he had finally learned to be humble and compassionate. The next morning, he woke up and found that the curse had been broken. He had transformed back into a full human. Ido and Mma returned to Ude Kingdom and were reunited with his parents. The king and the queen were overjoyed to have their son back. Ido became the new king, and he ruled with wisdom and compassion. He never forgot the lesson he had learned, and he always treated his subjects with respect. He became a very kind and good ruler. The moral lesson of this story is humility. Humility is the virtue of being modest and respectful, regardless of one's social status or background. Humility also teaches us to be compassionate towards others, even those who are different from us. That is the moral lesson of this story.